Is Hacivat the Aventus killer? Let's review it now and find out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, hit the subscribe button down below and also be sure to follow my Instagram page. But that's right, today we're reviewing one of the most hyped niche fragrances in the game, guys. Of course, Nishane's Hacivat, which is probably the most popular from this entire house as well. And we'll talk about if that's for good reason or not. But of course, this does get compared to Creed Aventus, which is known to be the king of niche fragrances for men at least. And it does have slight similarities, but it definitely goes in its own direction. But we'll talk about that in a few. Now, I do want to shout out So Avant-Garde for sending this over for review. They are actually the distributor for many niche fragrances into the United States. And I hooked you guys up with the discount code on Hacivat or anything on the entire website. Use code FragHunter20 and that's going to save you 20% off at checkout. So definitely make sure to use that code. Let's go over some information. Now, Hacivat was launched in 2017. As far as the retail prices go, for the two sizes they come in, which is the 50 ml, is going to run you $290. The 100 ml, like I have in hand, is going to set you back $395. So it is a pretty expensive fragrance, but Nishane is a sought after niche house and they create some great high quality creations. This is an extrait de parfum, which means the highest of perfume oil is in the fragrance, so you are going to expect it to have some good longevity. As far as the perfumer is actually Jorge Lee, who has created so many fragrances for Nishane, such as Hacivat, of course, Wulong Cha, and Fan Your Flame. So he is a great nose. Now, with all the information out of the way, let's go look at the packaging and presentation you get with Hacivat now. Now, we're looking at the bottle because unfortunately this is a tester bottle, so I don't have the full presentation of the packaging. However, I do have the bottle, which looks absolutely incredible. I love these Nishane bottles, especially Hacivat in this beautiful kind of white coated glass. Of course, you have extrait de parfum. This is Istanbul. On the back, nothing. On the sides, nothing. On the bottom, you have your sticker with your information and batch code to authenticate your product to see when it was produced. And then on the top, you do have that Nishane logo on this very heavy plated kind of metal cap, which is nothing inside, nothing on the atomizer. The cap doesn't click into place, but this one does hold on very, very snugly, so you can't pick it up with confidence. In the top, you have pineapple, grapefruit, and bergamot. In the mid, you have cedarwood, patchouli, and jasmine. And in the base, you have oak moss and woody notes, and this fragrance will be classified as a fruity fresh. So let's spray it and test out the atomizer. Decent atomizer. It's not the best, it's not the worst. So let's go to remind myself of this opening of Hacivat. Right away from initial blast of Hacivat, it's definitely going to remind you of Creed Aventus if you are familiar with that fragrance, which I do have right there. It does have that very tart, fruity, juicy pineapple in the opening with this like crunchiness kind of vibe as well, which is done very, very good. But what also makes it different is you do get a good dose of that grapefruit, which isn't actually found in Aventus. But just all in all, guys, the opening is so fresh, so fruity, and a little bit tart. Now, at the end of the day, though, this is not a clone of Aventus by any means. It's its own fragrance. It goes a completely different route, and only that opening, which is short-lived, is the only thing that resembles Aventus. So do not call this a clone or anything along those lines, because it's not. Once Hacivat starts to dry down, it turns into a chypre DNA and scent profile. And that's coming mostly from that patchouli. This is a heavy, heavy dose of patchouli. It's very green, it's very earthy. And you also get a slight floral touch in the backbone of this one from that jasmine, which just adds kind of a nice complexity to it, a little bit more character. And this is where it starts to differ from Aventus, is once it gets into the mid and the base. It's completely a different DNA. I do wish that opening would last a little bit longer because that opening is so fresh, like so refreshing, but unfortunately it does go away within like 30 minutes to up to an hour, and you're completely gone away from that pineapple and that grapefruit note. Now, a lot of people, when they smell this, they think it does smell very, very smoky. For me, however, it doesn't really come across like that. There's no birch like there's found in Aventus, which does come across like a smoky wood. However, it is very dirty and earthy. I've even heard people say this smells like an ashtray, which I don't really resonate with. I don't get that vibe. but it is an earthy fragrance through and through. Once we make our way into the base is what you're gonna be left with for hours upon hours, because that base is very heavy. You're gonna get this very masculine, earthy, grassy oak moss note. So you have to be a fan of oak moss to like this fragrance, because the oak moss, I would honestly say, is the main player out of all the notes. It just is what stands out the absolute most, and you are going to be left with that oak moss for a long time. Alongside that oak moss in the base, you are going to get a nice woodiness that just rounds it out. I'm not really sure what kind of wood it is. It might finally be that cedar wood that's listed in the mid that does come out a little bit more in the base. But yeah, you definitely get a earthy green oak moss and a woodiness in the base as well. And that's also where it differs from Aventus, because in Aventus you get a salty ambergris, which I do like a lot. However, when it comes to the scent profile compared to Aventus, I actually prefer Hacivat over Aventus, guys. I love the way this fragrance develops on my skin. This was my scent of the day today, and I've been wearing it a ton since getting the bottle in. I do have a decant as well from Decant X of Hacivat, so I am familiar with this fragrance. I've worn it quite a few times, but the dry down, which I have on my inner elbow, has been sitting here for maybe around 4 hours or so, and I'm just getting a ton of oak moss, guys. So me being me, I love oak moss heavy fragrances, and this one is one of the best oak moss dominant fragrances money can buy, in my opinion. Even though it is a synthetic oak moss, because oak moss has been banned for a few years now actually, so you're not going to get a natural oak moss, but the way Nishane did it in here is so good and comes across very authentic. So just to break it down, like I said, in that top here, it's going to be very fruity, slightly tart and crunchy from the pineapple and grapefruit, which don't last long until it turns very green, sheeper-like from that patchouli, and a slight floral earthy jasmine. And then it finally rounds itself off to a earthy base from the oak moss and a woody cedar wood. It's not really necessarily the most complex fragrance. It definitely does have some layers to it that you can detect, and it does change throughout the wearing, but it does change very quick until it does get to the final base of the fragrance. I would probably say Aventus is a little bit more complex than Hacivat at the end of the day, even though I do prefer this. There's also other reasons why I prefer Hacivat, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now let's talk about the best seasons and occasions to wear this. Honestly, guys, this is a very versatile fragrance that can be worn all year round, all 4 seasons. You got the fall, the winter, the spring, and summer. Just because of how fruity and fresh the opening is, it will work in the spring and summer, but also how like earthy and woody it is, it works perfect in the fall and winter, especially being how dense this fragrance is as well. So perfectly versatile signature scent worthy that can be worn all year easily. Now for occasions as well, it's also versatile in this aspect. You could dress this one up and it will be good. You can dress this one down and it will work as well. So it works casually and formally. If you're just going to the office, or if you work like a construction job even, you can wear this one. If you're going to a wedding, you're going to a date, you're dressing up in a suit, you can wear this one as well. It just adapts to every environment. And at the end of the day, you just have to love a good versatile fragrance that is just a dumb reach. You know when you spray this one on, it's gonna work. You won't even have to think about it. So if you are looking for a niche fragrance like that, I cannot recommend Hacivat enough for you. Especially with Aventus being so expensive, it's hard to recommend that one over this, because this just outshines it. It dethrones the king, guys. I have to tell you, it definitely does dethrone the king. This is the new king, in my opinion, especially when it comes to this genre and scent profile. For gender and age groups, guys, this is a masculine fragrance without a doubt. There's nothing feminine about this whatsoever, guys. It's actually on the extreme masculine side from that note breakdown, of course, with the pineapple, grapefruit, that patchouli, the woody, and the oak moss in the base. Yeah, through and through a masculine creation. So for age groups as well, I think this is versatile too. I think it works for a younger guy, even in his teenagers, you can pull this one off, but it also works for a mature, older gentleman just because of that earthy oak moss, which oak moss has been used in so many masculine fragrances for like the last 100 years. It's like a go-to note in like those classic kind of fougere, cheaper fragrances. So definitely on the mature side too. If you're a younger guy watching this, you can pull it off. If you're an older guy watching this too, you can pull it off. So don't even think twice about it. Let's wrap this review off talking on the performance of Hacivat. Now this is where things get very good for this fragrance, and also a reason why I love it so much. Of course, it is an extrait de parfum, so you expect it to have good performance, especially from the longevity, and you definitely do, guys. I get above average performance from this one. easily 12 or so hours on skin. Even this stuff does not go away. Even when you spray it on your skin, you have like this oily shine on your skin for hours on hours, man. It's that thick, that heavy. So no complaints from the longevity. The projection as well and scent sillage was so good. You spray this one on and you don't need that many sprays, even though I am considered a oversprayer myself. You walk around, the scent sillage and the scent trail it leaves behind you is amazing. It's out of this world amazing. Everybody will smell you when they walk by or you walk by them. Be cautious of that, even though you are gonna get a ton of attention wearing this fragrance. The projection lasted around 4 hours heavy. And projection, how I explain it, is if you're just standing still, guys, and your body heat is heating up and it just projects off you without any kind of like wind or movement, that's projection. Sillage is when you're walking around and it, like the wind kind of moves the fragrance around as well. So yeah, the projection around 4 hours heavy, guys. It did start to come a little bit closer to the skin. However, when you're walking about, it will still project off of you. I mean, you honestly cannot beat this fragrance, guys. At the end of the day, it's so versatile. Anybody at any age group can wear this one. You can wear it to any event, any occasion without any hesitation. And the performance will easily get you through the entire day and draw a ton of compliments and attention. And I'm so glad to finally have Hacivat in my collection. It has been on my radar for a few years, and I'm gonna wear this one a ton. So that's gonna do it for my review of Nishane's Hacivat. Let me know down below your thoughts on this fragrance. If you've ever tried it, if you're thinking about trying it, or what is your favorite fragrance from Nishane. We'll discuss that down below. But besides that, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. And I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.